All right. Welcome to the Cinema 9 podcast. Sans Mike Govier, which is weird, but it happens. I am Travis Roy, and I am here with my regular co-host, Eric Brandstrom. And as always, when one of us is missing, we have friend of the show, Luke Hoorelbeke. Luke Hoorelbeke, how are you today, my friend?
Man, I am doing pretty well.
Yeah?
Yeah, I fell asleep on the couch and left my my notepad outside because I was watching the movie outdoors.
Like you
Because it
do.
was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day, so I was watching the movie outside while I was like doing work. Came inside, fell asleep, left my notepad outside. It's completely soaked. Luckily, my notes are still intact.
Oh, all right. Well, I
They're
mean,
wet but legible.
what would we do without the notes from Blood
Yeah,
Diner?
right.
It was
Eric,
important.
how are you doing in lovely Griffith, Indiana?
There you go. Someone's got to say it. I'm good. Luke, I gotta say, we want to two things. Luke, thank you for coming on the show, helping out. You're like the Joan Rivers of like guest hosts for Cinema 9 Pod. So we appreciate it. And Travis, am I looking at a Prince of Darkness t-shirt? Is that Donald Pleasance I'm seeing?
This is Donald Pleasance.
There he is. There he is. That is fucking awesome. Yeah.
Thank
So other than dealing with the fact that I now have another streaming service, Movie Sphere, that I have no fucking clue what to do with, or even how to cancel, I'm doing fairly well.
That's great. Shout out to Mike Govier, who's not with us today. He is with his lovely girlfriend Leanne. They're on sabbatical, but we send them our love and affection. And Luke, Mike he's really diligent about not plugging his other podcasts, but Luke is, if you like Mike, and of course you like our friend Luke, check out their podcast, Is It Safe? Where they talk about anything, I guess.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Political rants, leftist rants, and like pop culture. Am I about right?
Actually, yeah, that's perfect because I talk more than anybody else. So the leftist rant part is definitely accurate.
That's great. As for me, I have had quite a week, pretty much since this will definitely be the longest I speak in a week, because we wrapped up our last episode, and like by the end of that episode, I was like, man, something's not quite right. I'm not feeling good. And I got hit real fucking hard with the flu. I've been way out of commission. I only worked, today was the first full day of work. I've worked all week. Not the big C, or not the little C, luckily, not COVID, got checked for that. And I got my flu shot, and then got the flu like 3 days later. But for any conspiracy theorists, everybody else that I work with is also sick at the same time. So if I had just gotten my flu shot like 3 days earlier or something, I would have been in the clear. But instead, I'm going to sound like Joan Rivers, speaking of. So just bear with my weird ass voice this episode.
Actually, it sounds nice.
Kind of sexy.
That's cool. Yeah.
That was only a little bit affected. Well, I usually kick things off with our roundup of what we've been watching before we get into 1987's Blood Diner. This is a listener's choice episode. This is not one that Luke picked. This was picked by a guy that we know named Giovanni Bianchetti, and I think he was punking us. I'm not really sure what's up with that. We'll talk plenty more about Blood Diner as we get deeper into the show. But first, our quarantine viewing picks. Since I was sick, I watched a lot of movies I regularly watch that I've seen a bunch of times. In particular, The Lord of the Rings. Whenever I get ill, I'm like, well, I'm glued to my couch. I might as well commit to 12 hours of some of the finest cinema to ever be made. So, in my delirium, that's what I did. I went to Middle Earth, and that was nice. Had a good time with all of them. And I hadn't seen them since the last time I was sick, which was actually very early 2020. So I really shouldn't complain too much, but I'm a big fucking baby. I complain a lot when I'm sick. Revisited Black Widow now that it's on Disney Plus, and I stand with how I feel after the first view. It's good, but it's middling Marvel. It's not among my favorite or anything.
Agreed.
I watched this. Speaking of kind of campy horror from the 80s, I watched this totally on a whim. This horror movie from 1986 called Spookies. Have you heard of it, Eric? Well, you're muted, so I'm going to guess you haven't heard of it. But
Oh my God, Uncle Clown.
Sorry. I think I'm thinking of Munchie, like that little asshole with like a leather jacket on.
I wasn't sure what to expect. I read the thingy, the bio, and I'm like, oh, this sounds kind of like High Spirits, and it wasn't. It was a lot more like Night of the Demons, maybe, but like before Night of the Demons. But if you like campy, rubbery 80s horror with a little bit of everything in it, there's zombies and shit, I would definitely recommend Spookies, even though it's not great. It's strictly for people that like Blood Diner, for instance. But since it wasn't High Spirits, I had to follow that up with High Spirits because, again, I was sick and watching stuff I've seen a million times, and I fucking love High Spirits. I love. I mean, I know it's like not a good movie, but I love it anyway. I really love that score. What's Dead and Buried? That's probably my main recommendation of the week from 1981. This is Dan O'Bannon's horror contribution, kind of a fun, different flick. If you've seen it, you know. I watched The Night Watchman from 2017. I love horror as you do, Eric, and I know you do too, Luke. But there's like a glut of horror in the last 10 years or so. It's like just like direct to video or direct to whatever, direct to streaming. Just like you go to the horror section of like Tubi or something, and it's just like, whoa, there's so much horror, and I have no interest in fucking any of this shit. Like it just all looks terrible, when it's hard to find like, what's good and what's bad. But every now and then I get lucky. Like last week I got lucky with fried berry, for instance. Or The Retreat. That was what I was thinking of last week. But like this week I watched The Night Watchman, plural, and it wasn't amazing, but it was like a kind of a fun, stupid horror comedy flick. So if you want something recent, it's from 2017. That's a decent horror movie. I would say horror comedy. I'd say The Night Watchman, you could do worse than that. And I finally, Eric, and to wrap this up, I watched you might know this too, Luke. I watched the two horror movies from 1968, one of which I'd seen before, one of which I had not. What are the two horror movies from 1968?
Rosemary's Baby
and
this is pop quiz.
Yeah, it's a pop quiz. But a little guess.
Hot shot.
The other answer was Night of the Living Dead. Now there's other horror movies from that year, but it's a seminal year for horror, which I've seen Night of the Living Dead, of course, but God, it's still so fucking good. It's so punk rock.
Yeah.
It's so just like dirty and gritty. I love it. And Rosemary's Baby, like, it's over 50 years old. So like a lot of it had been spoiled for me, which is why I kind of hadn't seen it before. I kind of was like, I think I know what's going to happen in Rosemary's Baby.
Exorcist was spoiled for me, so I get it.
Yeah, but like eventually you have to bridge that gap and like, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch it. And I can see why it's a fucking classic. I mean, it was obviously good. And then the last movie I watched of the week was Blood Diner, which will be
Blood Diner. Blood Diner. Blood Diner.
Who wants to go next?
God.
What you guys been watching?
Jesus.
Eric, what you been watching?
Well, dude, well, I guess you could call this body horror. I watched Weekend at Bernie's last week. It's been about 30 years.
The Liechtenstein.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a hell of a lot. Now, we all know the plot involves two losers who use a dead body to gain access to an exclusive beach party. But I'm thinking to myself while I'm watching this, exactly how long is Bernie dead during the duration of these events? Because I think like the body starts to like straight up decompose after like 24 hours.
I think it's literally a weekend. I think he dies on a Friday afternoon, and I think the movie goes until Sunday mid morning.
Yeah, I did some calculations, and I was disturbed by the results. I estimated that Bernie passed at about 5 p.m. on Friday.
Yeah.
And the body finally wound up getting buried around Sunday night, but it was filled with water. Totally fucked. I mean, terrible. But I laughed a few times.
Yeah, I still love it, man. And I'm gonna defend Jonathan Silverman as not being a loser in that movie. Andy McCarthy's a bit of a loser in that movie, but I'm gonna say Jonathan Silverman, he's all right.
Well,
Oh shit!
at what point? At what point does the body become totally rigid?
Dude, I don't know. There was a sequel, so maybe like 2 years later. I don't know.
The sequel picks up right where the last one left off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
Wow.
I mean, it's rigor mortis usually is like what 6 hours or something. Like that's it. That body would be like a board. It would be like moving a 2x4 around,
Yeah,
or like a
limp.
giant 4x8 piece of plywood.
At what point during the party does his bowels loosen and he just empties all over the floor?
Yeah, I was
That
wondering.
probably
That
happened
got me
right off the
gold?
bat. That
That's
happened
got
in
me
the
gold.
office.
Right?
He's definitely not just like leisurely looking relaxed on that couch at the beach house. I don't know what that shit's all about. Yeah, there it is. There it is. You know what? I've never seen I've never seen Pretty Woman from 1990. I lived my entire life without watching this film, and I finally got around to watching it last night. And I gotta tell you, I loved the film. Like I was really impressed. All my entire life, I've been asking myself the same question over and over again. Why is Richard Gere in movies? Why is this guy an actor? Why do they allow this guy to be in movies? He's so boring. I dug him in the film, man. He's warm and romantic. So I want to apologize to Richard Gere for the horrific verbal abuse I've been tossing his way all these years, because I liked his performance in this romantic comedy. I mean, granted, all my life, I thought like I literally thought that she was just like poor, and like this was a rag to riches story, and like he took her under his wing like to like make her head. I had no idea she was like a call girl. So I'm watching it like this was like on every home video shelf in America, like sweet grandmas taking their families to it.
Yes.
It's about like a hooker.
It's prepping America for the sex worker revolution that is about to come. people are getting more and more accepting.
How did you not know this was a story about?
All I remember is her in that dress, like giggling when like he shuts that pearl case, and I'm like, oh, like she's like fish out of water. I had no clue what this was about.
That's a fish out of water story.
Yeah,
no, I get it.
I don't know if you guys talk about this on Is It Safe podcast, but I watched that Dave Chappelle special, and I've been laughing my ass off in this guy's specials since the mid '90s. Turned it off. I mean, I guess more people are talking about it. It's kind of disgusting. It's just really like xenophobic and transphobic shit disguised as comedy. Enough is enough, man. Like, at what point are you joking and are you just being an asshole? Because I hated this special and I was kind of pissed off.
I think I've hit the point, and I'm going to say this one time. I don't fucking care about Dave Chappelle. Don't fucking care.
I don't know, man. It really grossed me out.
I love that I said it 2 times. I apologize.
No, he's still my favorite comedian of all time.
Oh yeah? Have you watched this?
Of course I did, and I still think it's fucking hilarious. But I also think, of course, it's entirely super insensitive to some pretty marginalized groups. And there's definitely a strong argument to be made whether or not he's kind of more or less directly or indirectly causing harm to these groups by his comedy. I still found it to be very funny. I was going to rewatch it to see if I missed something, given all the controversy that has kind of sprouted up. Just because I'm not going to be, and naturally, I'm not going to be nearly as sensitive to some of those comments as somebody who is harmed by those comments might be, and I completely understand that my opinion isn't everything. So of course I know that. So I want to watch it again, give it another round, but he still is one of my favorite. He still is like my favorite comedian of all time, but he does have this, do you not understand? He does punch down a lot. I've been like reading a bunch of other stuff about other people's grievances with his comedy over the years, how he punches down on like crackheads and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, maybe that's like starting to change the aperture that I have, when I look at Chappelle's comedy. But
I mean, it's hard when that happens, but like like Van Morrison and me, we were like this, but lately we're just we're like this.
Hey, listen, well, it'll be no love lost, man. I mean, it is what it is. If it's garbage and he's being harmful, then fuck him.
They're entertainers, not our family. At the end of the day, I was thinking about this, and I'm sorry, Eric, but we really cut in on you here, but I was thinking about this though. I haven't watched the special. Is that like he disappeared, Dave Chappelle? He disappeared from the public eye because like he couldn't go out in public, right? Like he's like he had a bit about like I couldn't go to Disney World without people being like, hey, like yelling profanity in front of his children and shit. Like I mean, at what point? Maybe 20, maybe 15 years ago. Like when did he lose all ability to have like any real perspective on society or as someone who interacts like the rest of us? I mean, like back in the day, he had like his observations that he could like make, but like he's completely removed from society. It might as well be Elon Musk up there spouting fucking comedy bits. Like who are you? You're not one of us. Like you're just not. Like you're not.
Oh, shit. That's a good fucking point. I would say the second he moved to
Africa,
Soft Springs, Ohio.
Oh yeah, that
he lives.
Yeah.
He lives in a gated community in Ohio,
Right.
and
Right.
he's completely open
Isolated,
about it. It's
right?
cool, fine,
Yeah.
whatever. He lives in Ohio.
Isn't he? No, I was gonna say, isn't he buddy with Bill Clinton? That's Chris Tucker. Never mind.
I don't know, man. Check it out and see for yourself, but it just left a bad taste in my mouth.
I can understand that
shake
though.
off.
Like right off the bat, even as a fan, I can understand that.
What else you watch?
Well, on the brighter side of things, I also want to direct a personal apology to director John Carpenter. I've been trashing his 1983 film Christine for many, many years.
You have? What?
Yeah, you've known that. I've always said
I don't pay
Christine.
attention to the things you say.
Yeah, but you know what? I took a look at it last week. I fucking loved it.
Yeah,
I almost watched it right when it was over, man. I don't know what the hell has been wrong with me. The Fog, I still stand by.
This is the classic flip flop that you did.
Yeah, it's a classic flip flop, man. I love Christine, man. It's fucking fantastic.
It's really good.
And Travis, man, you're gonna like this. I haven't seen this one. Speaking of Stephen King, in Christ, since it came out like in 85, 86. Silver Bullet, dude. Oh, man.
Gary Busey. Yeah.
I fucking love this movie so much. And we've got Corey Haim and I'm not joking, Marty Coleslaw. You aware of this, Travis? Marty Coleslaw. That's his name.
That's the character's last name. I did not pick up on that.
Coleslaw. Anyway, man, dude, we've got Gary Busey, who is actually, if you sit down and think about it, this is actually a really fine actor. I think he actually is legitimately a great actor, but this is a performance fueled entirely by cocaine. It's completely off the rails and entertaining in a great way, man. When the whole entire congregation turns into werewolves and like that one's like banging on the organ, and it's fucking awesome. I love Silver Bullet. I think I've been returning to it again and again over these years.
Wait, who directed Silver Bullet? I'm sorry if you just covered that.
It was this one dude, and it was his only film somehow. And I
holy
thought
crap, yeah,
was awesome. But he does TV and stuff ever since. But Christ, man, I undervalued it for all my life. Fucking thought it was fantastic. Legitimately, non-ironically, I thought it was good.
It's a damn fine werewolf film.
It's like Jaws. It's like Jaws, but with werewolves, because you got the town trying to figure out how to handle this situation, and like all the members are trying to like team up and kill this werewolf, and I fucking loved it. I also want to tell you that I loved Alice, Sweet Alice from 1976. Have you seen this? It's about like these two sisters. They're like 10, 11, they're twins, and one of them's a murderer, and she's trying to kill her entire family. It's fucking weird, man. It stars Linda Miller, Jason Patrick's mother, a beautiful woman. It's very underrated slasher horror in the late 70s. Thought it was fantastic. The Manor just came out. It's a Blumhouse churned out like vanilla, generic as hell trash. Barbara Hershey still dropped that gorgeous at 73, but I hated The Manor. It was awful.
All right.
Barbara Hershey was in a movie recently. Holy shit.
Yeah, she was in something else recently too. I mean, she's kind of been coming back.
Yeah, she's good. She's really good in the movie, but the movie is just so tepid. It's just useless. And that's it, man. Silver Bullet. Christ, man.
All right. Luke, anything besides Mr. Chappelle?
Yeah, well, I'll try to keep this a little quick. Okay, first of all, Barbara Hershey, that
the less we have to talk about Blood Diner, the better. Take your time, man. Stretch this out.
Tilting his hand.
Let's chew into that time
as
much as possible. Yeah, thanks a lot, John Bianchette. That's how your name is supposed to be pronounced. Remember that.
I'm sure he doesn't agree with you, but continue.
No, that's a blast from the past. Man, Barbara Hershey. That reminds me, The Entity,
Fucking awesome. 1981.
the scariest first 1 hour of any movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow, man. Damn, I want to see that again.
That first 60 minutes is.
There is a rape scene in this, right? That's the only reason I haven't watched
Entity.
it.
Yeah.
By an entity.
Yes, I'm talking about The Entity. That's why I haven't watched it.
It's
Two?
by an invisible entity.
No, I understand it's by an invisible entity, but I mean,
Yes.
like,
No, it is fucked up. Yes, it is fucked up.
Yeah.
But it is just like rape in general. What most studies say is it is about power, and not about So
not
I
quite
mean,
as
it is
funny
it
as
is
when
entirely.
Ray Stantz was raped by a ghost in Ghostbusters, but
No,
but
not
still,
quite.
anyway,
Not quite.
terrifying.
Yeah, not well. Ray Stantz.
You
got
don't
a
make that
blowjob.
face if you're getting raped. I mean, it
It's
was
not-
maybe
yeah, that
non-consensual.
is-
Exactly. I don't know.
that's not
Wait, we're getting
rape.
icky territory. Never mind. So, anyways, what have you been watching, Luke?
Ray Stantz got a blowjob.
Ray Stantz.
So there were two things that I actually watched recently. One being, and I don't want to retread. We did talk about this on Is It Safe? I think I have way too many opinions about it, given that I haven't even finished the fucking series, but the Many Saints of Newark. And I couldn't. I hated it. I really hated it. I just think, stuff is being churned out based on the value of other things that are created. I mean, it's just like, it's like being part of the MCU. It's like throwing out, what's his face, Cumberbatch and Dr. Time or whatever that fucking movie
You
was
need to
called.
stop talking. You'll get kicked off the stream.
Classic.
Which will
Travis will just kick you off the stream and say,
Doctor Strange is a fucking great movie. Number one.
It's not Dr. Time.
No, it's not Dr. Time. Dr. Time for you to shut the fuck up with your bad opinion. Yeah, we talked about we talked in depth about Many Saints of Newark last week, so we're not going to get too in depth with you here. But yeah,
you did. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we did. But we echo your
so we can skip past that.
We were all pretty disappointed, as is the world.
Very disappointed.
Seemingly.
Yeah, the other movie I watched, which, man, I have not seen it in fucking forever, and I always forget how much I love Altman movies, but I watched The Player.
Oh, love it.
Fuck, man.
Absolutely incredible. Holy cow. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I literally forgot how it ended. And it's like, how could you forget that ending?
Vincent D'Onofrio and that, like, I mean, like, obviously, of course, like Full Metal Jacket, but like growing up, I was always like, I don't know, man, I really love him in The Player.
Oh, he was so incredible in The Player, and he was such a complicated character because you expect him to just accept the accept the approach of Tim Robbins, and he just doesn't accept it. He just keeps pushing back, and it's like he's not even the fucking guy, and it's like he's just that is a very difficult character to pull off, somebody that is believably antithetical to your hero's kind of point of view, yet just also completely not just believable, but somebody that you really truly you wish he was the one that survived. I mean, I don't know, he was incredible. He was fucking amazing. That movie is absolutely phenomenal, and that is going to set me down a Robert Altman path. For sure.
Well, just skip Popeye and go to Nashville and shortcuts.
Popeye. Okay.
Oh, you like Popeye?
What?
I do like Popeye, and if you guys want to have a bonus episode, you let me know. I will jump on and tell you all about it.
Maybe
Best
next time
musical
you
ever
host.
made.
We need to have you on as a host with the four of us. We need to have you not replacing somebody else. We'll have you where you can pick the movie and come on. Then you can bring fucking Popeye if you want to.
It'd be quite unfair to Michael if I started talking about Popeye without him on the cast.
I know how that goes. There's certain movies
I get why people hated it. I get why people hated it. But.
Watch anything else? Is that your list?
No, that's it. I mean, that's my list. That's what I've been watching. Oh, Squid Game. I've gotten you guys have probably already talked about this, but I've gotten into this fucking show. Really?
I haven't watched it. No.
Eric, Squid Game.
Every time I turn on my TV, it's either well, it's not from Pretty Woman. It's just straight horror. So I can't venture into that right now.
That's kind of the thing. Yeah, I
Squid
mean,
Game is an amazing horror.
Oh, okay.
It's about capitalism, so it'll tell you everything you want to know about horror.
which is fun. I mean, I am interested in that. But yeah, since I was sick this week, I just wanted to watch stuff I've already seen, and but
sure.
and then also other than that, I've been I mean, like my whole house is like all spooky ooky. I'm watching fucking horror movies, and that's the mode I'm in, you know.
Yeah, looks like blasters in there.
Except for the carpet.
Oh, there was a recommendation. I actually have been meaning to rewatch it, but recommendation for everybody out there is The Brood.
The Brood.
Yeah, we talked about that a few weeks or a couple months ago.
Did you? Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I watched it for the first time.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
Well, then I second the motion. If you liked it, I second the motion.
I definitely did. You know, I don't know if I've seen. I'm trying to think of any Cronenberg I've seen that I haven't liked. I'm sure there's one or two, but I wasn't that into Dead Ringers now that I think about it. But
wow.
But you can still respect it. You know?
Oh, of course. I mean, yeah.
You're like, oh, this is an amazing movie.
Absolutely respectable.
The only one that I didn't love was Crash, but I haven't watched it since 1995. So.
I liked Crash, but you haven't seen
it.
So,
oh Christ!
All right,
we're elephant in the room.
we do this thing where we just throw out. You know, usually we have kind of like more policed way of going about our listeners' choice thing of late, but this time we just kind of threw out a wide net and said, "Hey, just send us, you know, whatever suggestions you got. We'll put them in the random number generator, and whatever ends up. And what ended up was this movie called They, which I mistakenly thought was directed by Wes Craven, but was just produced by him. But then whoever submitted that, they withdrew that submission. So we did it again, and we went with 1987's Blood Diner, which was Giovanni Bianchetti's suggestion to us. So we all sat down dutifully, you know, in good faith, to watch the film Blood Diner, which I knew fuck all about. I loved that poster. I wish that the diner in the movie was a standalone, like side, like, you know, like a freeway diner or a highway diner, like it's in the cover box. So that was literally all I knew was that it was called Blood Diner and that it took place in a diner and there was a horror movie. Did you guys know anything else about it?
Never heard of it. I figured it was kind of like Motel Hell, which I think is an underrated horror movie from the 80s. But damn, I sat down with my pen and paper, ready to, you know, take a critical eye on this effort. And let's just say I set the pen and paper down about a couple minutes in.
Okay. Luke, you're unfamiliar with it as well?
Yeah, quite.
I figure there's three types of people that's going to be listening to this podcast right now. It's going to be people that, you know, are our regular listeners that just kind of listen along with us, and thank you. Hello. We appreciate you. And then we have maybe on another person that might be watching, might even be regular listeners who's actually seen the movie, which hello, John Bianchetti. I'm guessing that's you and no one else. And then of course,
no, he didn't even watch it. He just, what he looked up as like worst thing you could watch. And then he just,
and then of course, the most people that would be watching or listening would likely be people that really like Blood Diner and don't regularly listen to our podcast. So for those people, welcome. We're gonna rip Blood Diner a new asshole now.
Are we? Are we though?
Are we though? We might not. We might not. What's your guess on the IMDb score, Eric?
Christ. Well, I mean, love it or leave it. It is a cult classic. So I think the people that liked it gave it a favorable review so they could get people to maybe see it. I'll say maybe 5.2.
5.2. That's a low bar. Luke, what do you think?
Damn, I feel like he's close. It's just like Price is Right. I think I'm gonna go. Oh man, I gotta go 5.1. I'm willing to even. I'm willing to like use the wrong strategy because I think 5.1 has got to be it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. The number in my head was 5, but I was thinking 5.9. The answer is 5.3 out of 4,500 votes.
Wow.
5.3.
Wait, how many votes?
Wow. Let's get into some critical reviews. What do you say?
Why not?
Who has critically reviewed this movie? That's a real question. Stacy Pounder over at Final Girl says, Wait, this is a full fucking thing. No, we're not going to read this whole thing. I need blurbs.
Give
Give me blurbs. Oh, I went to the critics' reviews. I guess that's not what I want. I don't know. Yeah, this is taking me directly to whole reviews, which we don't want.
I got one. If you're a fan of truly wacky shit, Blood Diner is absolutely essential. It's rare to find a film that aims for intentionally so bad it's good that hits the mark. Blood Diner hits way more than it misses.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
All right. What's up to Youngo Piate? Thank you for joining us. I have no idea if I pronounced that correctly. Youngo Piate, but they're doing cocaine and drinking beers. What sounds nice.
Fuck yes, that's awesome. Good for them. Jesus
Christ. Well, we got 7.
What are we doing?
At 7 reviews on IMDb.
Okay, hit us.
I mean, shit, for a movie that known, I'm a little disappointed that there's not more, at least, lambasting the picture.
Or praising. I'm down for either, but just give us a review.
Gruesomely, James Kendrick of the Q Network Film Desk says, gruesomely silly, but not even remotely as funny as it thinks it is. Blood Diner is something of a chore to get through, even for those of us who might otherwise appreciate a gory black comedy. 1 out of 4 stars.
That means he doesn't appreciate it. That's like the exact way somebody who really tells you they don't really understand or care.
Remember a couple of years ago?
I mean, I usually appreciate this stuff, but this is not good.
Yeah, no shit. So I'm thinking, as it's quite obvious to pop into one's head, of trauma films while I'm watching this. And
sure.
You think of a movie like The Toxic Avenger. I just checked. It's the 6.2 on the IMDb. And it's generally known as like a fun, entertaining movie. Really fucking dumb. But it's genuinely known as something that like knows what it is and is funny and stupid. So do we look at this like that, or do we just eviscerate it and say this has no value?
Well, I mean, I think that there's an in between. I know that sitting down, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a movie like with a plot and like with arcs and like stuff. And then very quickly, I'm like, oh, we've gone full street trash. Like we're in full street trash mode, which is fine. Like I like street trash quite a bit. So like once I was like, oh, okay, we're in this absurdist mode. And then I was able to like appreciate it a lot more. Did I appreciate it as much as the filmmakers intended, or as much as the people have considered a cult classic? Think it is. I don't know that I did that, but I definitely had to readjust my mindset, and I do like movies in that mode that it's in.
Oh man, I'm watching this and I'm like, well, Christ, I bet you any money me and Kitty saw this at the Dungeon back in 2004, because me and Matt and Jeff Johnson, sorry to get too esoteric here, but in Madison, we would watch Torben the Sinful Dwarf, Curse of the Queer Wolf, like the dumbest exploitation horror from the 80s you can possibly imagine. And this is just right in there with all of that. So it's just get a 40 of Mickey's and like watch this at 1 a.m. when you're out of your mind from a night at the Elbow Room.
So that was my main thought. My main takeaway is that I wasn't plastered drunk for this, and were I plastered drunk while watching it, I think that's the mindset you kind of.
And you're not 22, and you've got all this experience and wisdom. Maybe baggage, maybe not baggage.
Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that James Gunn got his start in trauma?
Of course, for sure.
You guys all know that, okay?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's definitely a heritage in like the trauma film like universe. Like, there's real like artistry there. I mean, it's like schlock, but it's using schlock and trashiness and all that stuff in a way that is supposed to be more or less coherent. I think coherent in a way that merges with an ideology. There's something more to it than that. Like something like this was an absolute onslaught, a true like pastiche of just nonstop fucking broken references, non sequiturs, pure sleaze, pure trash, and like there's something to that as well. I guess it's just really not on my wavelength. I don't really know how to critique that. I don't really know how. I don't really know where to put that. When I can watch trauma and I can Toxic Avenger. I mean, we're talking about somebody that's, this is about toxic waste. You know, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's
Yeah.
pretty simple.
Right.
There's just this is just so fucking bananas. I mean, I guess I could appreciate it on that level.
When
I can't follow it.
when I was 20, I wrote a short screenplay for a short film that never got made. That had
Mongoose?
some no,
Mongoose?
a short film when I was in Full Sail, and it was I was trying to make it like it was like I was submitting it to be like the student film that we as a group would make, and it had some elements of this. It was definitely there. I know there was one point where like the main characters suddenly transformed into clowns for no reason, and we're like chopping someone up. So like I think that there's kind of like a early 20s punk rock vibe to this filmmaking that I can really identify with. Because I really shout out to Jackie Hong, our director here. Like she definitely has like there's definitely like a nihilistic fuck you kind of like this isn't your parents' movie kind of feel here, which gotta respect that.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm watching it, and there's like this like 60s hip edge to it that I kind of appreciated. It reminded me of what Bob Clark used to do with movies like even A Christmas Story. I can't believe I'm comparing Blood Diner to A Christmas Story, but I'm going to make that comparison. There's this really bizarre niche nostalgia to it going on that I kind of appreciated. And of course, Black Christmas, which he also made, which is actually fucking awesome.
Also Death Dream, if you haven't seen that.
The problem I have with it as far as the nostalgia goes is that like on a purely personal note, like to watch something from 87 that's like 20 years ago, the mid 1960s, I'm like, well shit, now if we were let's shoot something for 20 years ago, it's not going to be like the do-wah-wah shit, it's going to be fucking Third Eye Blind going on in the background. I'm like, oh man, this really makes you like all the 80s nostalgia of the 1960s and 50s is like it's always just a smack in the face of how old we are now.
But okay, it opens with, and God bless it for this, because it opens with this disclaimer that pretty much tells you, hey, look, if you're expecting like anything of merit here on par with anything you've seen, like even Basket Case, just get the fuck out, because it's telling you exactly what you're in for. So you're either in or you're out after that.
Yeah, I mean, when your movie starts with a disclaimer that, hey, this is fucked up, that you're going into something.
Shit, man, I just don't know what to say about this one. I mean, we got a brain that brain with eyes. How where's this voice box? How is it talking to these guys?
Yeah.
Did he not sound like Triumph the Insult comic?
yes, dude,
very much.
Robert Smigel was probably inspired by Uncle Anwar.
That was driving me nuts. I was like, what is this?
That's
I couldn't focus. I couldn't focus on the film, so I had to pause it.
Yeah.
And I had to really think about it.
Like, where am I hearing?
And then it's like,
put those two sluts on the shopping list.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, it's Triumph. You're right, Luke.
But I like, so let's start with Anwar the brain. Like, I really like.
Yeah.
So I'm not that early 20s me. I am very much a literalist most of the time. Like as I'm watching this, I'm like, the brain would be rotted. What do you mean? Why is the brain? Why aren't the eyes rotted? Why are the eyes still there? And then it's like, why aren't people responding to the fact that there's a jar? Like he's like just propped up in the window for like the first part of the film. Like just before they put the glass up, he's just like there, just like watching people and like, I don't know. This movie takes a ton of suspension of disbelief, I guess is where I'm going with this. Of
course.
Yeah, which I mean, lots of films do, but like, you kind of get walked through your suspension of disbelief a lot of times. Like, there's like these connections, because it's like, I don't know, it's like there's a whole network of storytelling that's taking place as opposed to like this punch in the face of absurdity.
No, well, don't you think that it's like the exact opposite though? It's like it is the willing. It is not suspension of disbelief. This movie is not asking you to believe and ride along. It's asking you to ride along. It's not asking you to believe. It's really? Saying like,
I have a hard time riding along.
Let's get fucking bananas right now. Like, let's go crazy. And I think that feels more like it. I mean, suspension of disbelief might be something that you deal with I don't know, something like what is the like 12 Monkeys. Suspension of disbelief, super important for a movie like that.
Sure.
So what you're saying is you can't in real life batter up a woman and deep fry her and have her head turned into a fritter and knock it off with a broom?
In real life, speaking of deep frying, if you deep fry fingers, you have to bread them first and denail them. Obviously, you got to rip the nails out.
Her
Come on,
head
everybody
turns
knows
into a
that.
hush puppy. Her head turns into a hush puppy, and he
Hush
just
puppy.
knocks it right off her fucking neck.
That scene did have the one of I laughed twice, and one of my laughs of this movie was, oh shit, my purse. I really got a kick out of oh shit, my purse. That was funny. The donut head did not really do it for me, I gotta say. Absurd, but I didn't laugh at it.
I'm telling you, there's so much. I probably made 4 or 5 notes. I guess I wish I could read them better because
they got rained on.
My notebook is completely rained on, so everything is bleeding together,
Justice.
which is probably perfect for this.
Yeah, actually, it really is.
It's just like it was overload, man. There's something I totally appreciate about that. Like every comment, every line of dialogue actually is incredibly funny if it was in a different setting, in a different movie, and for a different purpose. It's just that it's in this movie and it's too fucking much.
Yeah, Luke, I would agree because it starts and I'm like, this is too infantile. I can't do this right now. I'm not going to be laughing. I just want this to end. And then as it's going on and on, I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not bored. And like for me, the greatest sin a movie can do is bore you. And I found it to at least be entertaining. Like I enjoyed watching it. I paused it when I went to the bathroom, and I'm legitimately laughing at some lines. Cut off my hands and laugh about it, will you? Not trashy enough. The dude's heads get run over, like they all laugh, and they're like, "Dude, you okay?" Clearly, his head was just crushed by a tire. Like, it makes Thanksgiving look like Citizen Kane, yes, but I'm still laughing. I'm going to compare it to another one of my favorite comedies, UHF. Every single fucking thing that happens in UHF is beyond absurd. It's truly ridiculous to the exponentially ridiculous, but it's fucking funny and there's value and it's a good time. So why do I trash this and not that? Is it because we got these like bimbos running around and it's so exploitive and so sleazy? I don't know.
Well, I mean, for one, you're not really
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, did I touch a hot mic?
Whatever, Dr. Time. Get the fuck out of here.
So,
go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
All right. Sorry, Travis. I'm sorry about that. Oh God, man. I just know I wrote a note and I finally just peeled back the pages, the wet pages of my fucking notebook. And it was like nude aerobicizing cheerleaders.
Yeah, man.
And they were like, we can't just be nude aerobicizing cheerleaders. We have to be the best nude aerobicizing cheerleaders. And 5 seconds later, they get fucking perforated by a guy in a Reagan mask.
Yeah.
And so, like, I keep trying to find some, usually movies like this, I keep looking for those for themes. The one main thing that I came across was like, well, the first position I took was like, okay, this is like a response to Satanic Panic,
maybe.
And then it's the nude aerobicizing cheerleaders, and Reagan just murders them all. And so that was another one. But
don't forget the videographer with her tits out, because you can't do good videography if you don't have your tits out.
Oh my God, when she steps from behind the camera and she's like, ladies, listen, we need to do this. And I was like, her shirt is open. What the hell is going on? It's completely absurd.
Never ask a cast member to do something that you yourself are not willing to do, Luke. Come on now. Directing 101.
Actually, a good Robert Altman story for that from MASH. They had a nudity scene, and I forget the actress's name, but she didn't want to be nude. So when they were ready to do the scene, Robert Altman and all the guys dropped their pants. And
my
we're like,
gosh.
all right, this is probably more hostile environment.
Yeah, I don't know if that would really apply today.
Probably didn't help.
Not the inclusive group hug that maybe
Brian Singer try that?
Probably didn't help. But guys don't like to show their penises, so maybe it did. Anyhow, moving on. Sorry about that. But yeah, no, just the aerobicizing fucking cheerleaders doesn't fucking crack me up. And so many lines in this that are actually funny as fuck.
Yeah.
I gotta be that guy. I mean, like I just can't watch scenes of people like getting mowed down in movies anymore. I just can't. I just fucking can't. I don't care when it's from. Like if it's just people doing their thing and someone comes in and starts killing them all, it just, I don't know, it kind of triggers me a little bit. I can't find humor in that.
Not a fan of you're just not a fan of mass shootings. I get it.
I'm gonna come out with the bold stance that I am not a fan of mass shootings.
No, the scene itself wasn't funny. The scene itself wasn't funny.
No, that's kind of my point.
Setup is bizarre, and then I guess
it was supposed to be funny.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing I'm trying to figure out, because as much of this movie that is like pure sleaze and trash and like on purpose, like very much on purpose.
Yeah.
There are like moments where you're like, well, wait a minute, like that seems like a legit comment, Reagan is just murdering a bunch of like vegetarian
jazzercisers,
females, jazzercisers, they make such a grand effort to kind of establish that there is this scene that exists that is something new. And this is, this was 87, right? So it's like vegetarians, health food places, people are jazzercising, all that.
Yeah.
And the guy who comes in and like fucking like murks everybody. This is obviously, it's one of the, mentally unfortunate nephews, but he's wearing a fucking Reagan mask. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like that matters at that point. I mean, we're dealing with 6-7 years of Reaganism at that point. And clearly there was a backlash against all of those types of odd movements, which, basically morphed into like, a kind of neoliberal identity or whatever, which is not great. But, I mean, those were things where there was a ton of fucking backlash, and it's weird. It's so fucking weird.
Is it critiquing the backlash? Is this part of the backlash? What are you saying?
Well,
no, I think there are moments where there's some form of clear sense of ideology or politics. But
the blood
it's
certainly
so brief.
trickled down. I'll give you that.
Yeah, say again?
Yeah.
What's that?
I said the blood certainly trickled down. Excuse the pun there. Anybody?
It's funny. How about a religion that predates Australopithecines? How about that?
They say 5 million years or something.
Since 5 million BC.
Yeah, 5 million BC.
Travis keeps making up words again.
Yeah, man. You tell me Sheetar wasn't hanging with Gigantopithecus or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, not Ishtar, Sheetar. Not
Sheetar.
Sumerians, Lumerians. All right.
Thank you. Okay, that was another thing that was driving me crazy. I was like, but did I just mishear that? And I was like, I put the freaking subtitles on. Because I was like, that's Sumerians.
Yeah, no.
But it's not Sumerians.
It's not. It's the Lumerians. Lots of Hitler stuff.
Yeah, maybe a little too much. That was getting a little yucky.
So, I mean, but like, our hero serial killer wants to, he takes bites out of Jimmy Hitler or Johnny Hitler, whatever the fuck his name is. Jimmy Hitler. But then of course there's like the Hitler backing band, which is a whole other thing. But that was a big part of punk rock in the mid 80s, right? Sex Pistols and Susie and the Banshee and shit.
Mm-hmm.
New York Dolls, they all were fucking swastikas, I guess. So I guess it's punk rock that there's swastikas in here.
Yeah. Sheetar fucked him up, so I guess that's a good thing.
Sheetar! I sound like Sheetar right now.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, hell yeah. But I mean, you want to talk about clearly like low budget filmmaking of this caliber goes back to Roger Corman is who I really think of first, and that's late 50s and the 60s, or even Ed Wood. I mean, but these are filmmakers that, especially in the case of Ed Wood, that legitimately thought they were making good movies. We laugh at them because they're so cheap and so ridiculous, and they were oblivious to it. But Roger Corman saw it as like a money-making machine and stuff like that, but he still was trying to make like some legitimate film that wasn't just completely self-aware like what we have here.
Yeah, this is very self-aware. This is very much, trying to be absurd. This is a comedy more than a horror. I mean, it's very sadistic. I mean, it's like, that's kind of what it's going for too, I feel. Which is partly what the disclaimer at the beginning is about. Like, no, we're not sadists, man. Like, okay.
That's immediately why I thought, like, that's immediately why I was just like, okay, Satanic Panic is just everybody being upset about fucking heavy metal and punk rock and literally everything under the sun. Super fucking reactionary. That is the note to the reactionary people that might be watching that movie.
And I've like that. Jackie Hong does plenty of interviews. In this, is it Kong? I'm sorry,
Kong.
Yeah, Jackie Kong. Sorry,
dude. I thought you were pronouncing it right, and I was pronouncing it wrong.
No, I just didn't relook before the show started.
Kong pronounced Hong?
No, it's definitely so Jackie Kong. I like her interviews that she gave in the second installment of the In Search of Darkness. She definitely makes it very, very clear that she like what you're describing here, Luke. Like, she is commenting on like reactionary politics in the 1980s and that kind of stuff. But I don't really understand it. I just don't really get it. Because I mean, I see the reactions that you're talking about. I just don't really get, like, because to me it seems more like, well, okay, so like the Friday the 13th movies, like I love those, but to me they're while they're pretty punk in their how they're filmed, they are pretty conservative in their values, I think, in a lot of ways.
Very reactionary, yeah.
Right. And so, like, to me, like, so I'm getting more of that kind of vibe from it. Like, I'm not getting like the a reactionary vibe that's more like I was talking about Savage Weekend last episode, that there's definitely like some like pro-gay stuff happening in that film, for instance. I'm not getting like much celebration of like female promiscuities, for instance. Like they're getting chopped up and like I don't know. I don't really get the critique or the commentary. It's like a blender of stuff.
Yes,
literally.
That's the right word, blender.
Yeah, I think what we have is, I think Jackie Kong has said that, look, there is a reason I don't make movies anymore. It's because I was interested in films like Bad Taste, like Basket Case, like Evil Dead, like all of Stuart Gordon's films, and I wanted to make my own. And my ex-husband was filthy rich, and he gave me the $300,000 to make this. And then when we divorced, that was it. But I actually think she was visually interesting as a director. Like I said, the movie's not boring, and I kind of like the way she frames scenes and like stages her characters and sets. I would have liked to have seen more, just maybe with some participation in the writing, because she could have been a little bit more interesting if she was, held at bay a bit.
I'd be very curious to see what she could do with $350,000 now.
Right, probably nothing, because everything costs like $150 million.
Yeah, I mean, okay, well, adjust for inflation and give her the money then.
I think Eric, I agree with you to a degree too, because she's clearly not somebody that doesn't understand her genre or doesn't understand like how to make a movie. It's all so like in your face, everything that's bad is so intentionally fucking bad. So it's hard. This is what I'm saying, is like hard to critique or judge a movie like this, right. Or even like, because you're not supposed to wrap your mind around it. You're supposed to just kind of like be assaulted by it.
Right.
And
the idea of us sitting down
or
and
not accepted, I guess.
Us sitting down and taking notes is like ludicrous with this movie.
That's why I thought it was hilarious when you were like, "All right, get your notepad." And I was
right.
Like,
that's why
I got my notepad, and I went out and I had my notepad and I was ready.
That's why I commented about it, because I knew what I was doing was dumb.
And then a half an hour in, I'm like, "This son of a bitch! I've taken so many notes and none of this matters. None of it matters."
It's nice to like remind me of what happened before the show. I like to look over it for that way. It reminds me of like, but when you say everything is bad, like that is intentionally bad, like what exactly do you mean? Do you mean like the morality of it, or like are you saying that the ADR is intentionally that shitty?
Well, that's another weird one. We can skip the ADR part because that I don't know if that's intentional or if they were like, listen, that's literally where we ran out of money, so we're just doing it this way. I don't exactly know. Because it works either way because the movie is so bad in general that that's fine. That's totally fucking fine. But yeah, no, I was trying to remember like who it was that wrote the camp article, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the Sontag article. And she has a great article called On Camp. I think it's called On Camp. And it's been so long since I've read it, but it's about how like camp and kitsch and schlock and all that stuff, is used as a way to just kind of like reconfigure your prisma, like it's all about a massive like uh what's the word I'm looking for? Like galaxy, it's a huge like kind of galaxy of like parallax views. It's impossible to keep anything on the rails. It's impossible to keep anything in focus. Constellations, that's what I was looking for. So, I mean, it's basically like these massive constellations of the kind of like parallax views, and I don't know. I mean, it's like when I watch a movie, I want to see meaning. I want to understand what it means. I want to look at it in the framework of history, or I want to look at it in the framework of philosophy, or I want to find some form of coherent meaning to it. But that's not always the case. And these are the movies that take it upon themselves to actually break down that fucking like get a sense of like Cartesian logic, or that postmodern fucking framework.
Buddy, parallax, Cartesian, throwing them out here. I'm sorry. I just got
you know what I mean. You know what I mean, though. Yeah, no, it defies logic, and it defies logic on purpose. Oh, but the question was bad on purpose. So what I mean by bad on purpose is not morally bad, because I think the whole idea right off the bat is, it's definitely a thumb in your face for anybody who has the kind of moral positioning. But when it comes to stuff that's legitimately funny, it's legitimately funny, but it is so bad that it's like not funny. You don't laugh at it, but you're like, holy shit, you're like processing all this stuff. It's hysterical, but it's just not done in the right way, or it's not done in the kind of movie in which it would be funny. It's weird to me. I don't know. I don't have the kind of like schlock brain that would allow me to really just sit there and love this kind of movie. I feel like Aaron Worley should have been the guy up here.
Yeah,
right now
he would have been the guy. He would have been a good guy.
I thought he recommended it. I thought he was the dude.
He recommended session 9, which I'm frankly glad that we did not get session 9.
Actually, I would have done session 9 because I've watched it. I even know the filmmaker. Yeah.
Oh, well,
terrible film.
Tell him I think his movie sucks.
Tell him he's way over.
Don't worry.
You know what?
We told him.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I'm sure he did his best.
Am I not looking at two people that legitimately think that Freddy Got Finger is like laugh out loud funny from start to finish?
Yeah, this is basically the preceding of Freddy Got Fingered.
Yeah, there's definitely
shit like this. This is what turns into Freddy Got Fingered.
It's absolutely shock value, right? It's very deliberately provocative and that kind of stuff. And it's so over the top that if you haven't seen this movie, for us to try and talk about it, it's like trying to describe an acid trip. I mean, like it's going to be like you're just not going to get it unless you've dropped.
Yeah, right. Like amateur wrestler named Jimmy Hitler bites a dude's arm, spits chunks of blood, and then the next scene you have ancient Sumerian goddess hewing lightning on well, Hitler's saxophonists and, and who the hell else. But I mean,
don't forget the ventriloquist dummy just hanging out for no reason at one point.
That's the whole thing, man. I mean, it's got to come down to value for me, because if you're at the bar at 2 a.m. and this fucking stupid movie is playing on like a little TV on like with a VCR attached to it, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna laugh at it, and you are gonna get entertainment out of it, and for that reason, that it holds a lot of value. If Cursed, the Wes Craven horror, is playing on that TV, you're gonna ask them to turn it off because it's fucking distracting you because it's so shitty. Like there's a huge difference in that shock value and that purpose for making it. You can tell it was a blast to make on the set, and for me, that kind of came through. That kind of made it fun to watch. Reminded me as when I made these stupid fucking things when I was a kid, and that made it fun for me.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You can definitely tell they're having fun making it. And I agree. This is spectacle. This is very deliberate spectacle. And you're either going to be down with that or you're not.
Yeah, it just obliterates meaning in every single way. Like there's no, it's like the one thing I've always loved about the horror movies, from just horror movies in general, is that, you know, something about they have been able to smuggle in, you know, actual ideology into the films, kind of under the radar. You know, most people don't quite understand it. People who are huge horror fans did understand it, like Night of the Living Dead, all the zombie shit, and then you get this like insanely schlocky stuff, and you're like, all right, it is literally an assault against form in and of itself. And so it makes it so that, okay, if you're into that kind of thing, cool. I guess I can appreciate the angle, I can appreciate the argument, but I can't really, like, I can't follow it. You know, I tried taking notes. I was 20 minutes in. I've got 4 pages of notes.
Holy shit, dude! I got a page.
What the fuck is on them? What is on these notes?
20 minutes of this film. I got 4 pages of freaking notes.
And
then I was like, he's going into a wrestling match. What the fuck is it? And I just stopped.
You bothered to write? I wrote down how can the brain talk, and then I set down my pen.
Well, Krang could do that, and that happened.
Well, Krang had a mouth. Krang had a mouth and eyes.
Krang also had a mouth. That's right.
Yeah. He had a whole apparatus attached to him.
Absolutely.
I don't know. There's some weird kind of vegetarian thing. The whole
something about cheerleaders. I don't know.
It's literally any good point it has to make it immediately does a 180 on it, and it's constantly in this like weird cycle of just, I don't want to call it nihilism, but it's in this like weird cycle of fucking destruction.
The word crossed my mind, nihilism.
Yes,
it crossed my fucking mind.
But that is part of how, like, you know, schlocky, campy shit has always been.
Yeah. We haven't talked about the detectives Mark and Sheba. I thought, you know, Sheba was interesting. I thought, you know, she's like the only person of color in the film, one of the only female lead in the film, really, other than the Virgin, who's, I don't even know if we get her fucking name. Connie. Okay. And and she was cool. Detective Mark I found really funny, like all the tongue wagging 80s shit. He could be like in this charnel house of blood and just surrounded by corpses. He's not going to stop him from wagging his tongue at her. He's got the whole disco thing going on. And he also had the other line I laughed at the movie when he comes in to save her at the very end and said he couldn't find a place to park. That was really funny.
Like I said.
Dude, there are so many fucking lines in this movie. There's a spot in which he reveals the menu for the special feast, and the first thing on it is dog dicks.
Six
dog dicks. Yep, sexy, hexy of dog dicks.
Well, that was the only thing I saw. Like, I just saw it long enough to read 6 dog dicks. I'm like, that's.
I guess I'm not the only one that wrote that note down.
I actually did write it down as an actual note. The phrase 6 dog dicks appears on my
I was like,
here.
In the beginning, I was like, is this Lynchian? You know, is this Carpentarian?
No.
I was trying to wrap my mind around it. 5 minutes went in. Sorry, no. Go back into the like detective relationship. I stopped kind of. I just really
Paying
checked
attention?
out at that point. I just completely checked out.
All right, so that's what happened to me too. Like I was pretty wholly entertained for a while. Like, oh, this is fucking goofy. This is gory. This is wild. This is not what I expected. This is taking me some interesting places. And then about 40 minutes in, I'm like, the
funny.
shock is really starting to wear off here. And
Yeah.
once the shock wears off, like now, is this a good movie or not?
I literally paused it thinking maybe it was almost over. And I was at the goddamn 38-minute mark.
That's almost exactly when I stopped it and did the same thing. I'm like, surely we got like 20 minutes left.
That's
like,
when
I'm
it turns.
fuck me.
That's when the wrestling part starts, and then
Yeah.
you're like, "What the fuck's happening? There's wrestling now."
I thought it was the Mambo.
He's wrestling Hitler.
I thought it was when he drove over and backwards the biker for like 20 times. I don't know, somewhere around there. No, you know what it was? I think what I really clocked out was when finally she was naked, but finally there's a woman kicking his ass. I'm like, yeah, kick his ass. And then a fucking stalactite comes out of nowhere. I'm like, fuck you with this stalactite. That's some bullshit, man. That's some bullshit.
I'm telling you, it's like burning my brain even trying to talk about it, because the whole thing actually, maybe that was the whole point. It's like, all right, try to be a critic of this. Good luck. Good luck giving me a bad review. Explain yourself. Explain how this is bad. That is very hard to explain.
I'll bring him up again. Look at Dead Alive. Look at all Peter Jackson's early stuff. He was doing this, and anybody who's seen that has laughed out loud. I hate to be contrarian, but all day long today, I'm kind of jumping online. I'm reading about this and that about the film. Like,
it's been on your mind. Huh?
The residue kind of has stuck with me. I can't help it. And that says a lot. I mean, it's so easy to watch something and then just be completely over it and walk away. But I find it all interesting. Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be burned in your brain. I'm not going to forget this movie by any long stretch. Like this is
saying a lot.
I mean, the cult status that this film has is earned. It's clearly evident why it has the cult fans that it has, because I mean this is a unique film. Is it a good film? I don't know, but it's certainly unique.
I don't think it thinks it's a good film, and I think that's why it gets away with so much.
I'm not trying to be good. It is entirely fucking.
Okay, and that's what I love. Good, but entertaining.
It's thwarting.
Oh, yeah, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that it's entertaining, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was entertained. That's why I love horror so much, because what other genre can just challenge the medium or even take advantage of this just as a purely visual medium? Do anything it wants to, like poke you, prod you, be so provocative, and that's horror. You're not going to get a drama that affects you like this, or even a comedy, really, man.
It is by far the most versatile genre, which is why it's my favorite, and I think you make a good point.
Horror comedy.
Just horror in general. You can do so much with horror as a genre that you can plug anything else into it and it will work.
Yeah, it's true.
Let me ask you if you guys remember one of the first lines between the detectives in the beginning. I would say I wouldn't be doing this justice, but it's pretty clearly the halt's ADR. So it's like, he goes, hold on, wait, this is soaking wet.
It's
notes. Yeah, you can see
Blood Diner notes.
Yeah, it looks like 7.
Yeah, no, it does. But actually, my real notes look like 7.
Yeah.
We should do a contest where you can win Luke's rain-soaked Blood Diner notes.
If that gives me an extra $48, I'll do it. He goes, quote, he's like, "You're right, Mark. You're always right. And you're a good detective too."
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. This is fucking film school shit. Yeah, I noticed that line too.
A good detective too. At the end,
which is just a thing you say to people. A better line was, "I'll be right back. I got to run out and get some goddamn tampons." That's when I knew we were in for a treat.
An even better line.
I have like
is,
40.
This is the best food I've had in a long son of a bitch in time, said by the fat health food critic.
Oh, man, when he throws up all over everybody, come on, man. I don't need that.
Okay, but you get it. That's another
What do you mean I
reason
get
why.
it?
Exactly why they do it. That's
I'm telling
exactly
you.
why they do it.
But you get it. This is the point I'm trying to make. Like,
Please.
the movie has like 4 plot lines going on, and it's got a ton of scenes where just a lot of stuff happens. Like, it's not lazily made; it's cheaply made and like shittily made. But like, they give you a lot for like your money, for lack of a better phrase. Like, it's stuff with a lot of stuff to keep you laughing and entertained. It's not just one simple thing.
Did you laugh a lot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you okay?
I did.
Well, again, there's funny stuff in it. It's just like it's so much. It is like a complete. It's like an onslaught. You know, it's like having a
Onslaught.
really funny alcoholic friend who does nothing but destroy your house. And it's funny for a little while.
The same guy.
The second that the ketchup and the mustard starts coming out, it's funny. You're like, okay, that's pretty hilarious. He just sprayed mustard all over the walls, and you're like, holy shit, I got to paint those walls.
Oh yeah, no, now I know what you're talking about.
Oh my god! And then the spaghetti comes out, and then
that was my dinner. Thanks, I was gonna eat that.
Yeah, and then somebody throws a pan through the window, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then now it's a completely fucking like discombobulated mess. That is basically how these movies are, and that's on purpose, I think.
So with
I
this,
don't think they want to be understood as good.
Sure, but they want to be entertaining, and they want to shock us, and they want to be funny. I mean, there is some intention,
and you have a lot of fun with the.
And what I side, because what I thought about, you're comparing it to some pretty good stuff, Eric. I'm going to compare it to Benny Hill, because it made me think of Benny Hill with a bunch of blood and gore in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff. I fucking hate Benny Hill. So like we're like just like, oh, the thing popped open. There's a bunch of organs. I'll slowly close it. I walked out and I got this trough of meat or whatever. I'm going to stand here and do a good long look around. It's like almost like Mr. Bean, like this. I don't know, like this, like, but it's like 60s British humor with a bunch of gore in it.
Come on, man. So it works for the like the vagina gun and Videodrome. It can work for Sheetar. Like, you can open up a gut and have some gross shit in there.
I love Videodrome. Videodrome is fantastic. But Videodrome entertained the fuck out of me, made me think and made me laugh.
It's also a very good comparison, because it's the exact same device. So the Videodrome, like that is like it's like inserting like media, the digital device, I guess it's analog at this point.
Great,
but,
we've started Luke on Cronenberg again. Hold on to your hats. Set a timer.
Don't worry. Don't set a timer to go to sleep and come back in 10 minutes. Yeah, but that I saw that and I was like, this is just so
like when
it's so bad for bad sake that it's like, why am I supposed to like this? And that's the thing I don't like about the people that love this kind of shit, is like they think everything that is like ever put on fucking screen is great. And it's like, no, it's bad on purpose, and they're fucking exploiting you. You are being exploited as the hooting fucking hogs you are.
Yeah, to me it seems kind of like a contrarian would love this movie. Like, fuck you, you don't get it.
That's exactly right. Those are the only people. That's why I thought Aaron suggested it.
Barring the people who are listening now, the people who are listening now are fucking cool and great. I'm not talking about you.
Yeah, give us a 5-star review.
But no, I do think that I do feel like this is the kind of thing.
Trolled into watching it.
I felt like we were trolled into watching it. And it seems like a trollish kind of movie, and it seems like if you like the movie, it's kind of like I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm sure that there are people who genuinely love this movie. Don't get me wrong, but there's definitely a long finger here
as part of that genre, as part of that specific genre. So if you're into that genre, which is cool, but you can't, like, there are no critiques here. It's like, does it conform? Does it conform to the prior?
Yes.
Does it conform to the prior iterations of this type of film? So if it is sufficiently shocking, if it is sufficiently trashy, if it is sufficiently sleazy, then that makes it good. It does not have any other standards that make it good. It is only in reference to other things that are just as trashy, sleazy, or whatever. But this is not John Waters, by the way. Like, let's be
Right.
let's be real. John Waters actually is making transgressive film.
Yeah.
Paolo Pasolini is making transgressive film. This is not like Claire Denis makes transgressive film. These are not transgressive. These are things that are just all they're doing is trying to blow up your sense of formality.
All right.
Or formalism.
Bearing all that in mind, are we ready to go and make the rounds as whether or not we think this film still holds up? Or I guess it really, I mean, like it's the first time viewing for all of us. It's impossible. But Luke, why don't you give it, you're our guest, give us a shot. I mean, I don't know if you can't say whether or not it holds up, but what do you think? Is this a yes or a no from you?
Yeah, this is yes or no. Oh, man.
However you want to phrase it. We usually do does it hold up? But
honestly,
I think it's the first time I think this is the first time we've ever watched a movie as a show where none of us had watched the movie before.
Honestly, if a friend of mine told me he was into schlocky horror stuff, I'd be like, yeah, you'd probably like this.
Mm-hmm.
Not my thing, but if somebody was into it, I totally would recommend that. I've seen a lot of movies like this, and it's kind of their point, and that's their position. So yeah, no, I'd recommend it to somebody who's down with the genre. It's just not something I would watch. So I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Who gives a fuck what I think?
Well, for our podcast, to stick within our format, would you give us does it hold up or not?
I never saw it, so
you never saw the movie.
It holds. I mean, it holds up. It holds up.
All right, that's what we need.
It holds up. I'll give it a 5.1.
All right, Eric, do you want to go next? You want me to go next?
I mean, you're not going to ask the senior editor of Food and Wine magazine to review a hot pocket, like ham and cheese hot pocket. Like you're not going to ask him or her for a review. For me, the film does hold up because it achieves exactly what it set out to do, which is be an intensely shocking, gross, fun, silly, stupid, offensive piece of trash horror cinema. Not a lot of people can do that without you just having to turn it off immediately. And it's entertained a hell of a lot of people. I'm willing to absolutely bet. And I think there's a reason for it because there's a lot there for your money. I laughed out loud and I didn't think I would fucking laugh. As soon as I saw the disclaimer, I was like, fuck, I was cursing Bianchetti's name out loud in my house. Because I had an inclination of what I was about to get into. And I thought I was too mature for something this infantile. And yet here I am laughing and thinking about it the next day. So I appreciate it for what it tried to do. And I think it's a fun movie that if it's on at a party, you're going to say out loud, oh shit, Blood Diner, and not be like, oh fuck, turn this off, please. You're probably likely to be like, hey shit, have you seen this? This is ridiculous. Instead of be like offended or turned off like you would in a movie that carries no value and just simply is not good. So that's all I can say.
All right. That's two. So yeah, we've made a comment before about this being subjective, all fucking film or all fucking things that you're going to comment on. But I do think this is a little more subjective than most, and I agree with your guys' comments is that this achieves its objective. It's memorable. It is worthy of discussion. If you're talking to like a hardcore horror fan, like this might come up. So. Like this movie absolutely has fucking value, and if you've never seen it, you probably should if you're a horror fan. That all being said, I didn't laugh much. I didn't think much. I sure as shit didn't think about it afterwards. I didn't enjoy this. One of the last notes I made to myself was, "When will it end?" I'm going to say this does not hold up for me.
When will it end?
Halfway through the page, when will it end?
When will it end?
When can I do something else?
That's so funny. I was thinking about all the hard shit I did, like serious, straight up board meetings with members of my community. I come home and watch like bimbos getting chopped up for a stupid buffet.
Yeah, definitely has value. I'm glad that I actually thought that maybe I was a little worried that none of us would say it would hold up. So I'm glad I'm the only one that didn't think that it hold up. Again, I do believe it has value, but it's not one I'm going to rush to watch again. But again, I'm not forgetting it anytime soon either. So that is
you're not recommending this to your mom. You're recommending this to.
I'm not recommending this to anyone's mom.
Call your mom.
Or anybody or any human being ever. But hey, Aaron Morley, I'd recommend this to you because
Chud Pud, I think he'd like this one.
Yeah, Chud Pud would fucking love that shit.
He's probably already seen it. He's
already seen it. That's why I thought he recommended it again. That's the third time I said it, but holy shit. My God.
All right. So that's 1987's Blood Diamond. Like two kids with their parent gone, we watched a horror movie while Mike Govier was gone because we really wanted to make sure we could shove one in there because he hates horror movies and he would have fucking hated this. That's another note I made.
Yep.
Mike would hate
Mike
it.
Think? Yep.
Oh,
imagine Mike watching it.
Hated it. He would.
Can you call this? Can you call this episode 6 Dog Dicks?
Nope, not doing that. Nope. we can check with creative consultant Mr. Osco and see what he thinks.
Mr. Osco, I googled him.
What'd you find?
I found Jewel Osco, which is a grocery store in Chicago.
Yeah, that's nothing. The mysterious Mr. Osco.
Mr. Osco.
Well, speaking of Mike, we will be back into our regular. As of next week, he'll be back, and he will. We've been all kinds of fucked up. We made a special accommodation recently, and it's really. Then he went on vacation. Everything's been all fucked up. But we'll have Mike on the regular thing next week, and then we'll be back into our regular rotation after that. As for the film of the week next week, Mike has sent me his choice.
Oh shit.
It is not a horror movie, unsurprisingly, but it is pretty fucking punk rock, which is something else we've talked about tonight. From 1998, Mike has selected SLC Punk.
Oh, wow. Wow, this is
Actually, I'm glad I'm not part of that. Okay, cool.
All right. Wow. Well, Luke's given a preemptive doesn't hold up.
That movie sucks.
Wow. All right. Well, that was a classic back. It was a classic.
It's fine. It's punk rock, but I mean, like that's the thing about a lot of that punk rock shit. It just all it is like it's just napalm on everything. It's just like it's just annihilating shit. And I don't know, is that punk? Maybe it is.
Annihilating shit sounds punk rock to me.
Pretty sure
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Maybe we gotta change our definition.
Maybe, but as for next week, we will be definitely checking out SLC Punk with Mike Govier back in the saddle again. Luke, thank you a million tons. Thank you, 6 Dog Dicks, for showing up and talking about this film with us. Thank you, John Bianchetti, and everybody else who took the time out of their schedules to submit a selection for us. There was a lot of good choices. We could only pick one, or internet could only, the random number generator could only pick one. So thanks you, everybody, for playing along. Thank you for listening. Luke, any last words for us?
No. Thanks for having me. It's John Bianchetti, by the way, and I will sign off with that.
All right. Don't forget to eat your hunger on and, snack on people.
Bring me the stomachs of 2 traps.